Awake at last, are we? I lied before, you know, about having wanted to give Shionne the most miserable death of all, but locking her up because I hadn't thought of a good way yet. That was a lie. Mion brought over something like a toolbox. From inside it she removed a large metal hammer, and next to that she began to line up what looked like long, strangely shaped nails, whose ends had been turned into hooks like the kind you see on a harpoon. Jesus Christ. I let her hear the screams of all those people that died because of her, and after they've soaked into her very soul, then I'll kill her. I've got pretty good taste, huh? Who are you? Huh? I'm Mion Sorizaki. Has the fear driven you crazy? No, you're not. There's no way you can be Mion Sorizaki. Mion snorted and continued her preparations for the horrifying torture. I see. Then if I'm not Mion, who am I? A demon. Huh? You're not Mion. Mion was just here. Give her back. Kei-chan, is your brain really doing okay? You're not going crazy with fear. Don't touch me! You damn demon! Give her back! Give Mion back! My best friend, give Mion back! Mion stood there for a few moments with her jaw hanging, not having expected to say that. I myself knew that I was about to go insane. I knew it was nonsense to demand Mion return when she was right in front of me. But this person in front of me couldn't possibly have been Mion. There was no way I could accept that. So, this is what I thought. Mion really had been possessed by a demon. I was controlling Mion as if it were a separate personality. Mion was just a victim being manipulated by it. The evil one was really this thing. It all had to be the doing of this demon possessing her. When Mion heard that, she started to cover her, laughing so hysterically that she started coughing and was choked. You really are a piece of work, you know that? In this very moment, Mion Sorizaki is trying to kill you, and you're trying to reject me. I never knew there was such a funny person in all the world. You want to laugh? Do it all you want. No matter what you say, though, I won't accept that from Mion. Give her back. Away with you, demon! Kei-chan, are you trying to kill me by drowning me in my own tears? No matter what, I wouldn't lose to that laughter of hers. I shouted loudly. I shouted from the bottom of my heart so that the real Mion trapped inside the Mion I saw in front of me would be able to hear. And then? You can do it, Mion. Don't lose to this piece of shit demon. You're strong. Show me how strong you are. The tears welled up and flooded down her face. Her hands were busy with restraints, and the music changed, so she couldn't even wipe them. She just let them flow. Please, Mion! Mion! Where did you lose to a demon like this? You're not that weak, are you? Don't lose. Fight! Fight! Mion, desperately enduring her laughter, pressed one of the long nails to the tip of my left pinky. Joke's on you, Mion! I don't have a left pinky. I literally don't. That's the missing finger that I was talking about. But this is Casey, he has one, so he's fucked. In her left hand was the hammer. At her side were dozen more nails. I could tell what she was about to do, although I wish I couldn't. And so I couldn't afford to be scared. That was why I shouted. My sides hurt, like they're about to split. Is that all? I'm gonna get started now. Be sure to give her some good screams. Not only am I torturing Kei-chan, but I'm torturing Shionne as well. Why you... Mion! And I wept. Only sobs came out. They weren't an acceptance of the torture about to be performed, however. They were tears of regret that Mion had lost to the demon. Yet a small change did occur in the Mion in front of me. Her heightened excitement was draining little by little. By the time I'd realized it, the one in front of me had returned to being Mion. Kei-chan, this may not be somewhere pleasant to take to the grave with you. You really seem to want to know though, so I'll tell you just one thing. I didn't know if this was Mion or just a display of momentary humanity the demon had recovered. A long time before the demon came to live inside me, it was gnawing at my heart trying to spur me to violence, but I suppressed it with my reason. I had to settle the demon down, and I got to thinking it had gone away somewhere. As it turned out, I was wrong. It hadn't left me. It had just gone to sleep. I noticed that there were tears flowing in her eyes. The demon woke up again due to a certain small opportunity. What do you think that opportunity was? There was a sad and yet reproachful light in Mion's eyes. Do you understand? I don't know. What gave the demon a chance to meet Mion? This might be strange for me, a demon, to say, but you're the reason everything got so messed up. The tears welling up in her eyes spilled downward all of a sudden. At the time, if you had given me that doll you got without hesitating, maybe everything wouldn't have gotten so twisted. The doll I got. That doll that I got when we had our club meeting at the toy store that summer. You probably can't understand. I wouldn't expect you to. But see, all sorts of things started falling over like dominoes after that, and soon it was too much for me to control. Well, it makes sense that you wouldn't be aware of knocking over the first one since it was so small. But the other one who set it up. Can't me? If you hadn't made Mion cry, then I wouldn't have had to wake up. Is that enough? For you to die in peace? The mistake that I'd made on that day was what messed everything up. That can't be, can it? It only makes sense that you wouldn't be aware of it. Even so, Kei-chan, you are without a doubt the cause. If you had nonchalantly given me the doll that day, then I don't think this would have happened. All this from that one thing. Well, it's like I said, it's like a domino effect. I would just say, like I just remembered something, as I recall that day. Renaud told me about that, and I thought I had apologized. I didn't apologize to Mion, though. It had been Shion. And let's not forget what happened when he did try to get her the doll. That didn't go well. In other words, to God. I hadn't said a single word of apology to Mion. The day I came to this house saying I had something to apologize for, I never said a word of apology about this. Come to think of it, when I apologized for going into the ritual storehouse, Mion looked a little bit lonely, like she was disappointed. Why didn't I realize that until just now? Rena told me at the time, and now she, herself, no, the demon was telling me. This is the only way for a dense idiot like me to be cured, to die altogether? Too stupid to live, Keiichi. I couldn't have hold back the hot tears from pouring out of me. I simply just cried and cried, reflected indifferently on the taste of my tears, on the taste of regret. Can I start now then? This method of torture. Oh no, that's her. Can I start now then? This method of torture is very simple. I'll nail one of these into the joint on the end of your left pinky finger. Then I'll nail each one in order until I get to your thumb. Then I'll go back to your pinky and nail one into the joint in the middle. Jesus Christ! So on and so on, until I hammer 15 nails into your left hand. When that's over with, I'll do your right hand next. After that, if you're still conscious, I'll tell you. There are a lot of nerves bundled in your fingertips, so it hurts far more than you could imagine. Some people apparently pass out before you finish hammering 30 nails into their hands, so... Now I press the tip of a nail to my left pinky finger. My wrists, my arms, and all the joints on my fingers were strapped in so tightly it hurt, and I couldn't even twitch. I didn't hesitate at all when I was torturing the others. Why do I hesitate now? This will satisfy your demon, Mion. If it will say to the demon, then do to me what you will. Are you serious? Compared to how much I hurt Mion, this is nothing, right? Do as much as you want. In exchange, promise me 2 things. Mion was silent. She did, however, wait for me to speak. After you're satisfied with causing me pain, forgive Xion. She's been punished enough to make up for her crime of sneaking into the storehouse, hasn't she? You, after all this, you can still worry about Xion more than yourself. The other thing is that when you've had your fill, you disappear. Give that body back to Mion. That's all. You know, are you not even considering possibly begging for your life or anything? Can I ask you to promise 3 things instead of 2? Preferred is to leave me alive. You said 2 in the beginning, didn't you? So you can't have any more. That's a shame. In such an abnormal situation, Mion and I laughed quietly together, as if sharing in a stupid joke. I probably won't keep these promises, understand? I'm a demon after all. I guess there's nothing I can do. I recall tightening my hands into fists then, enduring my pain at the dentist's office. Right now, though, they were opened all the way to my fingertips, so I couldn't even grip them. So instead, I tightened my toes. Pretty sure that's way worse than any situation you could have at a dentist. Probably, possibly, it depends. There could be some excruciating pains. Like, no, we're not even gonna numb it or anything. We're just gonna yank your tooth out in excruciatingly slow. Actually, we're gonna yank out multiple teeth at once or something like that. If it's something like that, maybe that could potentially be worse. But at the same time, freaking multiple nails into fingers, that sounds worse to me. Okay, dudes, I prepared myself already, so do it. You waiting like this to hammer the nails in is scarier. It's going to diminish my readiness after all. Mion put down the hammer and gently stroked my cheek. K-chan, we'll agree to just the 3rd thing, okay? Ah, my 3rd wish will save me. Shall we agree to it? Your 1st wish, to save Xion. That's long done for. The demon will kill. It's already been decided, so I can't stop it. So give up on that. Her delicate fingers slid from my cheek to my chin. As for your 2nd wish, to give this body back to Mion, that won't happen now. After today, Mion will never come back. From today on, even if my body is here, it will be just a body. Because the Oni had taken over it. Taken it over. It isn't true. Mion is Mion. Don't say such sad things like that she won't ever come back. Can you hear it? That sound? Mion gently closed her eyes and listened. I definitely heard it as well. Slam! Slam! It was a dull noise that repeated at fixed intervals. A low noise accompanied by vibrations. A lot of people ramming the iron doors to this underground ritual storehouse. You're late, so Ren probably called Orishi. That spaced out girl being so quick thinking was the one thing I didn't anticipate. I'll agree with you there. Mion grinned like she'd been outwitted, then took something that looked like an electric razor out of her pocket. When she pressed the switch, pale blue sparks flew out with a snapping noise. Probably never seen one before, right? It's a real stun gun. It's illegal and its output has been increased quite a bit. Is that what you hit me with before? That's not a toy children would be playing with, you know. You're right. She seemed to want to use the stun gun on me. Unable to move, I felt her press the cool lump of metal to my neck. Slam! I heard a roar as though they'd broken down the first large door. The halls were a bit complex, but aside from the door to this very torture chamber, there was nothing in their way. I won't kill you, but I will have to have you go to sleep for a bit, teacher. Wish you will be here soon. This will only hurt a bit. Feeling the same shock as before, gritting my teeth wasn't going to help much, but I clenched them tightly anyway. However, just as she did when she was about to hammer the nails in, she hesitated a little. I cracked up my tightly closed eyelids. Sorry. Disgracing Mion. A made a promise before coming in here. Whatever happens, Leon inside my heart will change. Look, forget about that. If you ever see me after today, don't dare come near me. Don't come near me. My then it will be the demon, and there is my corpse. What are you talking about? Just as I try to say that, a much stronger light than before shined. Like a television being switched off, my consciousness went blank. Twisted Sisters. June 1983. A string of disappearances occurred in Himizar village. Suspect of Mion Sonozaki, 5 years old. She is suspected to have kidnapped 5 Himizar residents between June 19 and 21st. Oreo Sonozaki, Shion Sonozaki, Kichura. Even the grandma! What the hell? That wasn't mentioned in game, was it? Plot. Whatever. Preliminary investigations on the incident were delayed. God damn, it's going too fast. The delay to the salvation, but it was resolved, constantly shockingly on the vehicle patrol. The sort of like abruptly I screamed for every time. I rushed in as an emergency measure. They secured the suspect's missing younger sister Shion Sonozaki and her 2 missing classmates Keiichi, Ibara and Ranario. The suspect fled the scene. Deep into the hatched basement on the Sonozaki property, which is believed to have been used to kill those who disappeared, we discovered hair, flakes of skin, and all that of these. Jesus Christ, man. They concluded that the missing persons were tortured in the torture chamber. However, their remains have still not been found. But one of her imprisoned classmates advised we continue searching the detached basement on Sonozaki property, which where they were imprisoned, believed that they were there, however, they still not located there, or the suspects escaped. Additional investigations are continuing as per participation in the serial freak deaths incidents of recent years. Thinking they could give some clue, but no evidence that Mion Sonozaki was involved, either directly or indirectly, has been found. There are still many unclear points as to the motive behind the incident, and as those of the Sonozaki family and residents of the Himizar have been extremely uncooperative in assisting us, we expect to require a long time to find out. The opinion of a local officer knowledgeable about the region that may have been a lynching and a general form of punishing children's acts of the beliefs of the Himizar village. It is clear that these incidents are partially related to this region, the proverbial place of we anticipate again valid clues from the missing persons believed to have been in prison for the longest time. Shion Sonozaki, the suspect, in between, but her mind was stricken by the grave after effects of the incident, and she has not been in a state without quite about what she knows. Psychiatrists conclude that she is in a temporary state of shock, but it doesn't seem hopeful that she will recover the day out. Well, wasn't that pleasant? No, it wasn't. Only a few days passed since that time. After that, I was rescued by Oshi-san and his subordinates, whom Ren had called in. Also, what was up with that achievement when it was unlocked? I mean, who the fuck was that? Why would... Oh, I get it. That must have been the doll, actually, isn't it? Probably. So that's what the doll must have looked like then. Aside from my entirely blank state of mind, I had no external injuries. The most I had was a small burn mark from where the stun gun hit me. As I was having a checkup in the hospital, Oishi-san asked me all sorts of things. But I don't really remember what he asked or how I answered him. From what I heard, surprisingly, Mion still hadn't been captured, same day. There are apparently a great many hallways and smaller rooms extending out from the depths of the prison. It wouldn't be strange if she had fled to one of those and hid herself. The one fortunate aspect amidst all the misfortune was that Shion had been safely secured by the police. When I last saw Mion, she seemed like she was going to take me with her and then kill me. She probably didn't have enough time to, though, since Oishi-san came running in faster than she predicted. That was the only really fortunate thing to have happened. It's just like, for once, just like Oishi actually turned out to be very useful in this situation. Of course, the rescued Shion, despite having no external wounds, now had a big, deep wound in her heart. She was in a severe state of confusion when they rescued her, and apparently she bit the police officers trying to resist. From what she heard, she was seeing Mion in every one she saw. Hated not only the hospital, but even her own home, and had shut herself up somewhere in Shitsubone, hiding her location. Additionally, in fear that Mion would come for her, she was moving from place to place every day, and even her parents weren't sure where she actually was. Wherever she was living, even now, Shion was spending her days in fear of Mion's shadow. Can't blame her, really. Police were investigating Sonozaki's underground storehouse at this moment, since they couldn't find the remains of the other sacrifices, and Mion from the corpses into a well. I had a feeling I'd said... what? I had a feeling I'd said that to him. That meant a hidden tunnel virtually like a well was somewhere in those underground passages. The secret underground without any maps or architectural drawings, which had swallowed up the remains of Rika-chan, Totoko, and everyone else, was still unwilling to speak the truth. I was brought back to that basement again too, for an on-site inspection of something, but I didn't remember being of any help. I never wanted to go back there again. For days afterwards, the Sonozakis living in Okinawa, in other words, Mion and Shion's parents, the big-name Yakuza would come to our house to apologize, bringing many of their followers with them. However much my parents refused it, they piled up many 100,000 yen bills, calling it consolation money every day. The amount of money grew each day, and after it had passed 2 million yen, they were then given an envelope containing a letter. I don't know what was written in the letter. My parents talked about it by themselves for 2 whole nights, and decided to move away.
I see. You're moving, huh? When?
At the end of next month. I won't even have been in Enmizao for half a year.
I'll be lonely. I'm the only one left.
And I smiled sadly. But I just said, yeah, I thought it would make her even more lonely, so I changed the subject. Here's something to think about. That's how I broached it. Mion hadn't actually fled, but had been dimmed away in the truest sense of the term. Where she went after she disappeared, that we didn't know. What was there, or where she had disappeared to. I hoped there was a hobby shop dealing in imports, the kind Mion liked. In that place she would definitely be free from the burdensome fetters of her family, and live not as Mion Sonozaki, but as just Mion, and enjoy herself. Maybe she's already met up with Satoko and Rika-chan. They must also have been waiting for the day Rena and I would join them, spend all their time doing club activities, as lively as they always were. When I told Rena that, she smiled and nodded to me. The instance the Sonozaki family had been trying so hard to hide, too, were exposed to the magazines from this single tiny scene. The serial incidents of recent years were all pulled up like a long vine in the ground, one by one, and for many days news of it was brought up on talk and variety shows. The shows, which were comedic and silly, never once tried to touch upon the grim, heavy history that Mion had been bearing. It made me mad to see them bringing this stuff up in jest, but there was nothing I could do about it now. How big an impression would these short few weeks I'd spent in Enmizao have on my life? During these few weeks I met my best friends and had the best experiences of my life. I would probably never forget it for as long as I lived. As for the distorted image of Mion that the media created, after the masses got tired of treating her like a plaything, they would ball her up, throw her in the trash, and then she would fade from their memories. As one of the few people who knew the real Mion, I must always make sure I remember her. Beyond any doubt, that will surely become my offering to her. The sky reached so far up and towering, musk clouds float over it. I don't know how to pronounce that word, to be honest. Not a word that you come across often. The real summer was just before our eyes. Even now, whenever 10 p.m. came around, I would expect a phone call from Shion or Mion, rather. Now that everything was over, of course, she would never call me. But it was precisely because she wouldn't call me that I was scared of who could call me this time. Plus, Mion still hadn't been caught. I couldn't say for sure that everything was completely over. On the other side of that fear, though, were my prayers that Mion was safe. When I thought like that, I was able to sleep even with such terrifying thoughts. The lights were off. before her attacking when the lights were off was something that scared me. However, that feeling changed to regret within 2 days. The moonlight filtering through the gap in the curtain shone onto the desk and illuminated a doll. That's right, the doll that I should have given to me on that day. She said it was an import from England or something and was all the rage, didn't she? From what Shion said, the most popular among them were the ones wearing the fluffy dress. After being released from the incident, the first place I went to was that toy shop. So, everything was apparently sold out beside the things on the storefront displays. I was refused once when they said they wouldn't sell display products, but when they realized I was Survivor A from that incident, they immediately consented. Of course, even if I bought it, I might never have the chance to give it to her again. Even knowing that, I waited for the opportunity to give it to her. I waited like this for the opportunity with it on the desk so I could give it to her at any time. Plonk. There was a weird noise. It was a noise I wasn't used to hearing. It was too big to be raindrops, and it was completely different from the sound lost bugs make when they ran into fluorescent lights. I figured I must have misheard and nestled back into my futon. Plonk. The noise happened again. I wasn't hearing things. I definitely heard it. Where was it coming from? I got up and turned on the light. If there was a second, there would be a third. From where, though? I listened carefully. Plonk. The window. Some sort of pebbles were colliding with my window. When I realized they weren't being blown there by the wind, but rather being thrown by a person, I gave a start. I looked at the clock. It was 2 a.m. What would it be at a time like this? I quietly peek out front through the gap in the curtains. In the light of the gate, despite it being so late, I saw someone. They picked up a piece of gravel and threw it at this window. It hit the window and made a plonking noise. Who was it? I caught my breath in surprise. If my eyes weren't deceiving me, that person was Mion. I threw open the window and looked at the figure again. My eyes certainly weren't deceiving me. It was Mion! It was Mion! She was alive! Mion pressed her index finger to her lips and made a shh motion so I wouldn't shout. If she hadn't, well, I wasn't really about to cry out. Mion was in a very delicate position right now. Even if it was the middle of the night, I shouldn't call out her name. Oh, I remember now. I remember. I waved to her, gesturing that I'd be right over, flung on my coat atop my pajamas, and flew out the door. I quickly hit the brakes just before going down the stairs. Although happiness was sprouting within me, I had the sad feeling that this would be our final parting. So I went back to my room again and grabbed the doll. If there was a guard, I don't think I would have ever thanked him as much as today. Even if it would be the last time we ever saw each other, I was so grateful for this one chance to give it to her. I slipped into my sandals, unlocked the door, unhooked the chain, and leaped out of the house. Mion! It's been a while. How are you? Been doing alright. It was like how we used to meet every morning. Mion waved to me and responded like she always did. It was doubtlessly Mion. It was the real Mion. Are you alright hanging around this place? I really shouldn't be. She certainly wasn't acting like she knew the police were following her. It was almost like she was a patient who had gotten tired of staying in the hospital and had snuck out. Her speech was relaxed enough to make me think that, and I couldn't help but be surprised. That relaxation, I thought, was more like Mion, and I was happy for it. Anyway, what's wrong? What do you need at this hour? I wanted to talk to you one last time. That was when I noticed them. On Mion's forehead were big droplets of sweat. The expression, too, which I had thought to be a satisfied smile, was upon closer inspection trembling slightly, and I realized that she was forcing it. Well, I can't stay for any longer. pain nurse was beginning to enter her words as well, as if just smiling was a feat for her. Are you alright? You're not feeling well. I tried so hard until now. I can tell. I'm done. This is my limit. They'll come up behind me to take me away. Neon's smile crumbled and started to stiffen. Did she push herself this much to come all this way to me? Her laughter cut off and changed into rough grieving. It was more like... I reached out to rub her back, but she knocked me away. Are you okay? Don't force yourself. Oh, that's right. I had something to give you, Neon, to stall. I had wanted to do this one last thing because I knew how little you had left, time you had left. But the last thing is, you're still an idiot, Keiichi. We haven't used this track before. My stomach is burning. Neon took a meat cleaver-like knife and stabbed me. Pushed it in tight and took it and twisted it. Hey, what it hurts. I made it. I made it. I cowered on the ground. My stomach was so hot it was almost spewing fire. Leon watched it, then took a few steps back and cackled. I've done it all. That's everyone now. Again. The last words Leon left me with that day came back to me. After today, Leon will never come back. From the day on, even if my body is here, my body is all it will be. But then the demon will have taken it over. The demon. But this can't. I thought we had finally been able to meet. This can't. Neon. A pool of blood of my own design is the doll I bought for Neon. Dyed in red. So red. Neon. The good fortune of having been allowed to meet Neon once more, and the misfortune of that living being torn apart before my eyes. Should I be grateful or curse it? My emotions were neither of those, as my consciousness sunk deep into a black swamp. The doll I bought for Neon, the blood had ruined it. No matter how I scrubbed and scrubbed, it had needlessly been ruined. The sad moon was so white, yet it looked frozen. June 28, 1983. A violent incident occurred in Imazao village, just above the city of the prefecture. The victim was Keiichi Maibara, also a victim of the previous string of disappearances. At around 2 a.m., he was stabbed in the stomach with a bladed object by a suspect of the last case, Miyano Sonozaki, and was gravely wounded. He was discovered when his parents woke up and was then transported to the clinic. He escaped death. Oh! He survived! The criminal fled the scene. On the same day, at approximately the same time, a fatal accident occurred in the Kamishiki apartment complex in Shishizuoka City. The victim was Miyano Sonozaki, also a victim of the previous string of disappearances. Late on the same night, neighbors overheard her having a big fight with someone and informed the manager. The manager used the master key to enter the room and discovered that the victim had fallen from the 8th floor balcony to her death. Jesus Christ! The room had been torn apart and appeared to show traces of a fight. One neighbor has frequently visited the Sonozaki house for a long time and testified that he heard what sounded like two sisters having a fight, trading insults back and forth. I believe this was related to the injury against our village returned by the incident. Suspect answered did the search of the room, but we could not find any traces of why that anyone but the victim was present. The victim fell straight down into the foliage of a parking strip. Her neck broke and she died immediately. Her clothing was disheveled and had markings that would imply a scuffle. We also believed, however, that it could have been an insanity-induced suicide attempt based on the particular mental state of the victim after the incident. We have conducted a thorough examination of both fronts, suicide and homicide. Jesus Christ, you couldn't even throw us a bone, man. Higurashi when they cry. Emphasis on cry. Reminds me of the freaking reviews like I saw on Steam. One of them is just like, I can't remember what the wording was, but it was essentially joking about that. It's like, yeah, when they cry, the only one who cried was me. So fucking Jesus Christ, man. It's like, just when you think, oh, it's gonna be a bittersweet ending, it's a bad ending, but it's bittersweet to an extent. That was even worse. Keiichi somehow still survived a second attempt on his life, but still not exactly a happy ending. Well, not even a bittersweet one. It's shit.